so it doesn't matter. But let's see if all my notifications pop up. See if that Twitch stream starts going.
See, this is like the prologue of Sports Goofs.
Yeah.
Or the cold open. How about that?
The cold open. Holy crap! This thing's under. And there goes that phone. But don't worry, I got my second one. I have no idea if this thing's on. Could check. I don't know. But it says there. It says it there. I didn't even update the frickin' the header. So, but whatever.
It's slacking.
It's lagging.
I said you're slacking.
Oh, oh no, I've been slacking for a while. I mean, that's been the MO of NBU's here. So that means that we already started. That
Honorary
means,
fourth member. Honorary. He's basically our fourth member.
This is probably be our most improvisational episode that we're doing. And you know what? This actually
whose line is it anyway?
Let's try this format. Let's just try this format because why not? Because I've been listening to Sports Talk Radio. It seems like those guys are pretty off the cuff for most of them. So let's just go with that. That we are here with our 27th episode. And I've got the colors up there, Sports Goofs in blue and gold, not to represent the Warriors, but actually the St. Louis Blues, and red and black to represent the Toronto Raptors, the two teams that I hope to God win their respective championships at this point. Sorry, BU, even though the Blues kind of blew it, blowing a 2-goal lead, and then just promptly giving up 4 unanswered goals to the Bruins. Much to my dismay, Brad Marchand included in one of those goals, so even more dismay from a lot of hockey fans. Just absolutely terrible, but whatever. The Bruins, gosh darn it, man, they are a good team. They are a freaking good team. And the Raptors finally making it to the NBA Finals, and we'll see what a Canadian NBA Final looks like. It'll be pretty nice to see. They definitely can't make it to the Stanley Cup Final, so might as well try basketball and see what happens there. And the Blue Jays haven't won. Oh no, I'm shooting. If I can make fun of Canada's drought of Stanley Cup Final, well, not even appearances. Well, what's the last time a team appeared? 2011, the Canucks. That was the last Canadian team to make it to the final. The last team to win was in '93, the Montreal Canadiens. That was the last time they were able to win a Stanley Cup, any of the Canadian franchises. And then you've got, holy crap, Andrew's at the door. It's kind of like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Let me get on over there. Hold on a real second.
As long as you don't say Pigweed's Playhouse.
It's like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. We kind of walk in and we start the show, but hey, hey everybody, Andrew's here.
Say hello.
Hi everyone. Sorry I'm late.
Am I not counting MLS? Of course I'm not counting MLS. Heck, Miami can't even get a team going here. So
we're black and the pink.
We're rocking the single mic again. So
well, wait a minute, I got my stuff.
Oh, but it's hard to plug it in and then start because my freaking I don't know why OBS can't just plug it in and do it like that. But whatever.
All right, I guess we'll go old school.
We'll do it old school. It doesn't matter. People can hear us.
Yeah.
Let's just we'll up the mic levels and see what happens there. Okay. Anyways, you two about to get real intimate in that office. Well, it's pretty.
It's the mood lighting's quite nice for it.
Yeah, because one of the fluorescent lights is out.
Yeah.
So, but whatever. And we got a giant printer behind us now. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did not.
Yeah, so it's not a technological advancement on our part. I was just talking about the Stanley Cup Finals and stuff like that. And we're doing the pretty improvisational episode today. One thing I did want to discuss, the Miami Backups can't get a stadium deal doesn't make them MLS number. Well, the MLS is real, but it's not real to me until I guess there's a Miami team because then I'll have some sort of investment into it. Because I'm not a soccer fan.
Well, I'll be honest. I didn't really have investment into MLS until Orlando got a team, so I kind of see where he's coming from. Hey, Atlanta FC. Well, they're like the only. They're the only Georgia team to win a championship, I think, since the Braves in '95.
Right. And so, like, but the funny, well, not even the funny thing. I mean, it's not even
That is pretty
surprising.
funny and also pretty depressing.
Well, but when I went to Atlanta, there was Atlanta FC stuff all over the place. Like, it's not like something like a niche thing. It was out in the open. They had their billboards. They had people wearing the scarves. They had the shirts, the sweatshirts. It wasn't like they were I guess like the Atlanta Thrashers when they were there. Like, this is people who genuinely like the soccer team and actually follow it, and it's become Atlanta's fourth team. But
well, I will say this. I know this is. Well, I guess it is an improvisational episode, so it makes sense. But MLS is wanting to expand ultimately to 30 teams. Right now, I think they're at 23.
Let's see. I mean, we might as well go down the MLS rabbit hole because,
So I know OCSC, Orlando City, was 21.
I might as well learn about MLS if this Miami team actually does come to pass within the next 40 years.
Well,
I know they passed that where they tore down the Lockhart Stadium in Fort Lauderdale to build like some soccer academy / stadium where the team will temporarily play until they build whatever they have to build out in where the heck were they building that new thing? Oh yeah, by where the golf course was.
Of course, BU is always going to come through. I swear, he is like the. How many of us are there officially? It's you, me.
I think there's 3 of us now.
Three of us.
Like, B used it.
So he's like the fifth
24
Beatle.
plus Miami, Nashville, and Austin. I think Nashville will do pretty well. Judging by one of my friends who actually lives in Nashville, and basically how the Predators turned their image around. That winning helped.
Right.
The Predators were pretty were winning-ish during that time. They were struggling, and then they changed their marketing, they changed their colors, and then they found a way to connect with the city itself. So I think Nashville will do pretty well. And then and Austin, I haven't been to Austin yet.
Well, here's a funny story about that one. So Austin, there was an owner of Columbus Crew. That's one of the original franchises. Call them like the original 6.
They were in trouble of being relocated at one point.
To Austin.
Right.
But I guess MLS.
I do know some things.
Yeah, there we go. Very nice. See, they do occupy some space in your head.
Well, because on Deadspin always calls out like these owners for stadium, like new stadiums being built with taxpayer money, all that stuff. So the Columbus Crew thing was they had a perfectly good stadium, and then they were calling for a new stadium and all that stuff, and threatening to move the team, which was a pretty crappy move to do.
Right. And honestly, I hate whenever people do that. Like, it's going on in Ottawa, Calgary for the NHL.
Yeah.
It's happening in Tampa Bay right now with the Rays.
The Senators Arena is someplace far away. People can't get to it. It's hard to get to all that stuff. But I don't know. They were doing pretty well when the Senators were really good in the mid 2000s.
Yeah. But anyway, so the deal was the owner or the buyer of the crew, there was a deal that said, all right, don't move the Crew, and we'll give you a franchise in Austin.
Okay.
So they said great, fine.
Nice.
So best of both worlds, the Crew gets to stay. And there's not many more of the original franchises left. I mean, one of the original franchises was in Miami, as a matter of fact.
The Fusion.
And there was Tampa as well, I believe, at one point.
So, let's see. The original franchise is 96, Columbus, DC United, who I believe have the most championships, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's find out, shall we?
I'm on Wikipedia right now, so let's see.
We actually...
let's see.
There's someone in the chat with us.
LA Galaxy, they have the most.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
And then they have this thing called the Supporters Shield, which I have no idea what that is.
That's the equivalent of the President's Cup.
Okay, so the President's Trophy of...
Or President's Trophy.
Anthony Precourt. Okay, so that's the owner of the Trust... Gosh. And yet, if they were baseball teams, they would have just given them the new stadiums, regardless of how old they were.
Right.
A la the Texas Rangers and Atlanta Braves.
Oh, by the way, everyone welcome Green Megan Ham. She's a friend of mine
That's a great name.
She's a friend of mine from RCFB.
Okay.
And apparently is an Sporting KC ticket holder.
Okay.
That's the
Sporting KC. That's
the team formerly known as the Wizards.
Okay.
Decided to give themselves a bit more of a traditional soccer
Nobody
name.
wants to be associated with the Washington Wizards.
Welcome to the black hole that is Sports Goofs.
Oh yeah, this is. Black hole is a pretty. A black rabbit hole because we tend to go.
We go down these tangents all the time.
Because, gosh, I have not really gotten into soccer much, but look, honestly, if the soccer team down here, like, I'll go to a game. Like, soccer doesn't, entice me. Much like for some people who watch soccer, like, I can't watch baseball. It's the same thing. That's just my feelings.
Right. Oh, and by the way,
Of course, it's hard to watch the Marlins.
Speaking of soccer in Miami,
7-3 in the last 10, though.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
For anyone that happens to be in the Miami area, which I highly doubt, except for Francisco and I, and calling Miami area for Charles is a bit of a stretch. Ecuador and Venezuela are playing a match at Hard Rock Stadium.
Right.
June 1st.
Well, the Dolphins, Stephen Ross and the Dolphins have done a pretty good job, and it's part of their initiative to get big soccer matches down here.
Well, yeah.
I mean it's the reason why Miami will be one of the cities for the World Cup that will come to the United States.
Right. Orlando is certainly pushing for it. I think they have a shot. I mean, the Citrus Bowl has, I think, 65,000 capacity.
Right.
Sorry, Camping World Stadium.
Okay. Anyways, but yeah, the Dolphins have done a pretty good job with getting. I think the Guinness Champions Cup. They've done plenty of the international matchups. They actually got an El Clasico down here as well. Between Real Madrid and FC Barcelona.
That was huge. For those who don't know, El Clasico is Barcelona and Real Madrid. They are the Yankees and Red Sox of international soccer, football, whatever you want to call it. I mean, especially in recent years. I mean, before he got traded or signed with another team, it was the Ronaldo versus Lionel Messi show.
Right.
That really kind of revived the rivalry. Not that it needed reviving anyway.
So, let's see. MLS has 3 future teams, and they've had 3 defunct teams. Chivas USA, Miami Fusion, and the Tampa Bay Mutiny.
Well, I guess not as many dead teams as I thought.
I think it's just more... I don't know if a ton of these teams were relocated.
Quite a few were.
Yeah. So, but they've. I'll tell you this: the sport has grown. That's for sure down here. I mean, everybody's. And I think with millennials, it has grown more than anything, which, to my dismay, I'm on like kind of that close end of the millennial spectrum. But I mean, I just don't enjoy soccer, so I kind of wish people followed hockey down here like soccer, because I'm basically like that. I'm that guy, the hockey guy, the one hockey fan down here, So, but until the Panthers actually do something, we're not going to get anything like that. I guess it's akin to what happens up in Toronto with the Raptors. I mean, we can segue into that if you want to, but the Raptors made the finals, much to everybody's surprise, I guess.
Yeah. It was interesting. Someone pointed out on Twitter, perhaps jokingly, but it is true. The second that LeBron exits the Eastern Conference, the Raptors decide and go and win the conference.
Well, I mean, it wasn't as a given as people thought it would be. I mean, well, first off, big move, I would say, I think Charles would agree with me, was DeRozan for Kawhi, you know? You got you get a perennial choker with a perennial clutch guy, you know? So that was a massive change. I mean, it's not on every metric you would say Kawhi is better than DeRozan. You know, he might actually, and there's debates now that he might actually be one of the best up there, top 5 player in the league. Maybe even better than LeBron. People have been comparing his run this year to LeBron's last year. Even though LeBron's got more offensive-wise, his numbers are a little higher.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody takes into account the fact that Kawhi's playing he's putting on a defensive clinic out there.
Yeah.
You know, but Charles, why do you think the Raptors won?
Well,
You know?
I won't say it's part of it. It's a weak Eastern Conference because at the end of the day, you know what you're getting yourself into. The reason why I feel they won is because they kept the most consistent unit. You got to remember they fired Dwayne Casey because they said you suck, but we're going to take a chance on Nick Nurse. And we're going to get rid of DeMar DeRozan because DeMar DeRozan just peaked. It's basically like a McDonald's burger. It's not a burger that you really think about and crave about too much, but you know you're hungry and it's cheap and accessible.
Should we talk about
But
burgers
now they got
today?
a little extra cash.
About what?
No,
That's
because
the sneak peek, guys.
we might be talking about burgers today, but we definitely will be talking about tacos.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But Kawhi is that pristine $15 burger that you dream about. That's the stuffed smokehouse that goes from there. So you save up and you splurge on it, but you only splurge out of necessity and something a special occasion. The special occasion for the Toronto Raptors GM was, I'm running out of time. I'm probably going to get fired soon. I have a buttload of contracts that are going to either expire, have to get re-signed, or I have to trade away these bad contracts if they don't push out. So they won because they're a more complete unit. Because with Kawhi is accompanied by Kyle Lowry, who finally showed up in a playoff series because he's like Mr. Commitment to the regular season, doesn't show up at all in the postseason. Marc Gasol was a little inconsistent, but at the end of the day, he was able to take on a beat-up Joel Embiid.
Right.
Pascal Siakam really showed his game. And what I like about him, he's always kind of around the rim if he's not the main shooter. You never see him kind of outside or the post. He's always there to go for that extra rebound or go for that tip in. Fred VanVleet kind of came up into it. There's always that joke that he got good into his scoring groove because of the fact that he has second child being born. And I'm like, good on you if you're going to be committed because you got to shoot those extra buckets because you got another mouth to feed, pal. Good on you. They're a more better team. And also the idea is the Bucks were just a little bit inexperienced, but we talked about it when we were doing previews. Bucks were in a way expected to lose, one because it's the first year project with Budenholzer around.
That's
and
true.
Then, and then the other teams is just those big contract guys like Chris Middleton and Eric Bledsoe just didn't shoot up. Now, the reason why they won the East as a whole instead of just winning is because Boston just kind of, didn't do anything as they were expected to do. I had championed on the idea that Boston was just meh in the regular season because they were trying to figure out the lineup, and in the playoffs they were going to figure it out, and that was a lie. They lied to me. And with Philadelphia, it's just at the end of the day, the blueprint of Philly was there. Let the one guy score the 30 points because everybody else on that starting five doesn't mesh well together. So it was Toronto's time. And I think Toronto always knew it was their time, especially with LeBron. And you brought up a Kawhi-LeBron comparison, but let's be honest here. LeBron and Kawhi are similar. One basic fact with Kawhi now in the Raptors, they are carrying a buttload of minutes. I mean, a lot of offensive share of the game, the way that LeBron did when he was in Cleveland as well.
That's one of because the other narrative of this finals is the overarching narrative of the playoffs with regards to free agency, and whether Kawhi is going to go, and KD is going to go, and Klay Thompson's going to go, Kyrie's going to go, all these guys are going to go. The Raptors have done, I guess, the Raptors have done all they can do to try and please Kawhi for this one season and this whole, I guess, this trial run in Toronto to see if he likes it up there and would want to stay. I still don't think it's enough, even save for a championship, where he might be, he might stay for one more season, sign a 1-year contract and then go someplace else after that. But I think what I was hearing Sports Talk Radio, it's being on a really, really good team and then leaving for someplace else is kind of like becoming the norm in the NBA now. Guys are just going to where they want to go regardless of their previous situation. A la LeBron, he left Cleveland, even though he probably did all he wanted to do in Cleveland. A la KD went from a really good team in OKC to an even better team in Golden State. Kawhi left San Antonio himself. San Antonio was one of the best organizations in all of sports, and they pissed him off. And
that's a little different, though.
With regards, he wanted out of San Antonio. But,
yeah, but
still,
it's apple to oranges because his situation is just a tad bit different in the sense of a lot of those guys left for championships. Kawhi already had a championship. He was an MVP.
I mean, even LeBron had a championship already, MVP. So,
Well, when he left for Miami, I thought you were making a comparison to his initial leaving.
No, about his second. His actual second time that he left Cleveland, for an even what is regarded now as a dumpster fire out in LA. But man, he is putting on a ton of minutes. It looks like he's got all this wear and tear. I don't know if he would want to stay in Toronto if this is going to be every playoff run for them. I mean, he could just very well go to the LA Clippers and, pair up with somebody else, and he'd be on the second LA team, which would mean that, they'd get notoriety and all that stuff because they will probably be better than the Lakers if that happens, but he'd still be in a situation where he, for his personality or lack thereof, would work for him. And then Toronto works in that sense because even though Ontario is one of the largest markets in North American sports, if anybody's actually seen the numbers, he still flies under the radar just because he's up in Canada. But I don't know if he would want to do this every season. I would. I mean, you just look at him. I mean, just seeing him in
I can't see it.
In Game 6, like he's just like visibly panting as he's down the stretch of that game. Playing 38 to 40 plus minutes. Like they might, like, I don't know. They'll probably run him into the ground this finals if they're even close in the game against the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see him leaving even if they won a championship. I can't see him like staying there. He will want to leave. Because here's the thing: you get traded to a team that wasn't initially on your list, but it was the best option you had because you want San Antonio and that culture and community get best return value. And getting DeMar DeRozan and then Jakob Poeltl was the best that they could get. And at least you're going to a pseudo contender. It's not like you're being sent to hell and going to, the worst team in the East, which could be the Knicks, right? If they got him, might change a little bit, but he is an impact player. And I think you had mentioned, if he tried to do a 1-year deal, the same way why he kind of wouldn't go with the big out afterwards, because he wants the big money that comes into it. So you don't want to run a risk. This guy had a hamstring injury that affected him all last year. And now, Toronto, I think, is a little bit more pricier, if I remember correctly, because of the taxing and everything that goes on there.
Yeah.
He's going to want to maximize his brand because I think there is a brand for him.
He could easily be the king of Canada if he wants to,
He could, but nobody wants to be the king of Canada. The true king of Canada is just Kyle Lowry. What he's doing is like, look, this is my successor if and when they eventually cut and get rid of me, because he also has a big contract. He's an impact player. I won't say he's generational, but he does everything right. My knock on Kawhi was always I was kind of questionative of his offensive setup this, right? If you're telling me, because you mentioned something, if they tried to do his best to woo him, if the best thing to woo him is a 34-year-old, 35-year-old Marc Gasol, and the presumption that its team can just learn to be better, he might say, hey, thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for all the good times, but I'm out. And he'll go to LA. I think the Clippers are his logical destination. I don't think he cares too much about first or second son in the love of California and the love of LA, but they have a very good coach, if not great coach, in Doc Rivers, a lot of money to throw at him and possibly another person, and they have stability because Steve Ballmer is one of the best owners out there when it comes to loyalty to his guys.
Right.
That's more exciting, and he's from California, so who wouldn't want to go back? I don't think you're gonna get the Paul George scenario. Well, look, let's be real. Paul George fell in love with Oakland because of the fact that Russell Westbrook is like probably the best hype man. He's like, look, if I've been here for like 8 years, you're gonna love it. There's nothing but dust balls and everything like that, and there's a scarecrow, but that's the coolest scarecrow you've ever seen in your life. And Paul George's like, yeah, I'm gonna believe it. But I think also Paul George wanted to be sold on an idea. Kawhi doesn't want to be sold on an idea. When you have that determination as a free agent with no restrictions, nobody holding you under contract, you do what you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, he's gonna do what he wants to do. I mean, he's got his own people now, which is mostly his family. So I kind of get his whole deal. And yeah, he probably looks like a guy who just wants to go home. As far as the Warriors are concerned, we all think they're gonna win, and there's not much else to say about them.
Warriors in 5?
Yeah, I would say 5. I think Toronto
I think
gets
they
one.
get snuck up on probably in the first or second game.
Yeah, they'll get one, their token home victory, I would say. And then that would be it. Which is enough for the Raptors franchise, I would say. They've made it this far. I mean, it's not like the team's in any danger. They're not the New Orleans Pelicans or whatever of moving or not being viable in their market. There's, like I said, they're the only basketball team in Canada, and they're in the largest market outside of I think New York, Chicago, and LA, or even Houston as far as North American sports. I think they're like the 4th largest market if you look at the Toronto, Ontario area. So like the Blue Jays do, gangbusters, and of course the Maple Leafs do gangbusters.
Yeah, so let me ask you this question, because I can hear Andrew snoozing on the topic of NBA since we already know our predictions. Let's say they're destroyed, right? Toronto's destroyed. They know that Kawhi is going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
How much money are they going to try to throw via trade or free agency to try to get that new star player? An Anthony Davis situation, Klay Thompson, even Draymond. They try to keep that longevity that they've had for like the last 5-6 years.
Yeah, this has been their best stretch of basketball for the last 5 years. So, man, I don't know if I could see Jimmy Butler going there, but
I bet Jimmy would go for the cash.
Yeah, he would. I mean, I like Canadian dollars. They're nice and colorful.
Pay you in waffles and maple syrup. Because that's the next step, right? Because you're not going to be able to pick high, and I don't think Toronto's going to want to succumb to the idea.
That's a good question because
look how many guys have left. Chris Bosh,
I feel like
Carter.
I feel like they would try and entice somebody with a nice core, and even then, even let's say they get one of the lower end good free agents. Let's say Jimmy Butler. That's still enough for them to compete in the East.
Yes.
It's still enough for them to at least, make it to the second round and probably challenge to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals. Especially if they continue to keep their core and their GM Ujiri, he's done a pretty good job with assembling this team and making the trade. So I believe in his ability to kind of rebuild on the fly. I don't know if you could call it rebuild on the fly, but at least reload them for another run at least the Eastern Conference until like Milwaukee. I mean, for as long as Milwaukee can keep their core together before they mature. Okay. So I don't know. What did you want to talk about, Andrew? It's pretty improvisational.
What's that?
It's pretty improvisational. We can talk about tacos if you want to.
Well, I'd like to get to, I guess, kind of a somber topic.
Oh yeah,
Um,
people keep dropping
before,
like flies on us.
uh, but in case anyone hasn't been following the news, there were three significant deaths in the sporting community this within the past couple of days. Actually, we had Bill Buckner, who was a longtime presence in Major League Baseball. Bart Starr, who was a star quarterback in the NFL for the Green Bay Packers, took them to their first Super Bowl, if I remember correctly. And then, goodness, I am forgetting his name, and I feel awful for that. Rod Bramblett, who was the radio announcer for the Auburn Tigers football team, and I assume many other sports. I actually wanted to start with Bramblett first, since Green Meg, she is an Auburn fan. I believe she's an alumna. And first, I'll give some background of what happened exactly. It was the other evening, I think it was a night or two or three nights ago. He and his wife, her name, Paula.
Very tragic.
Got into a two-car accident. Apparently, their vehicle was rear-ended by a 16-year-old who was driving. The wife, died on scene, more or less. He was able to be airlifted. She is an alumna. He was airlifted to a nearby hospital, but he died from his injuries not too long after that. It's shocked everybody in the sporting world, outside of Auburn fans. There was a huge outpouring of support, even just on RCFB. But it went beyond that. People started a GoFundMe to support, I'm assuming, his family. I didn't read into it. But everyone is donating $109 to this fund. The reason $109, that's how many yards are run in the kick six.
Ah, yes.
The famous or infamous, if you're an Alabama fan, Chris Davis. It was the 2013 Iron Bowl, which is the rivalry game between Auburn and Alabama. There was a missed field goal from the next county. For some reason, Nick Saban decided to kick the field goals from over 50 yards. It obviously missed. It was on target, believe it or not, but it was short. But they had a return man, Chris Davis, in there, and he ran the thing back 109 yards because he was 9 yards deep in the 10-yard end zone.
Yeah.
So people are donating $109 in honor of that. And from a personal perspective, I don't know radio announcers that much aside from UCF's Mark Daniels, and I guess it's with good reason because I don't listen to other teams' radio announcers. Mm-hmm. But that's where I first heard about him, and it was such a iconic call. You could hear the emotion, the positive emotion in his voice. He actually, a couple of days earlier, a week or two earlier, called the prayer of Jordan Hare, which was a Hail Mary pass. They were down against Georgia at Jordan Hare Stadium, which is their home stadium. Mm-hmm. Exactly, BU. That's an advantage you get from the hometown announcers is you get to hear that emotion in their voice that you don't hear otherwise.
Right. That's why people are so connected to these guys. I mean, you could say this about any hometown broadcaster.
Right.
I didn't know of this guy, and obviously I'm not an Auburn fan, so but the call, yes, you remember that call, mm-hmm. because of just that emotion. That's why you remember some of these moments, but these guys. I mean, how long was he the play-by? Oh, he's the play-by-play guy for Auburn football.
If I remember correctly, he had only begun fairly recently as football.
Right.
But he had been
around Auburn sports
as an announcer for the quote unquote lower sports like baseball for a decade.
So he worked his way up to that position, you know.
He got it when the previous announcer retired or died. I can't remember.
Right. But still, it's still you get a connection to these guys, these local guys. It's why when guys like Vin Scully retire, it's like revered. Well, he was he was on another level for everybody as far as announcing is concerned. But local guys that you hear about from every team whenever they either pass or they move on to another job, whatever, you kind of feel these emotions. When the Marlins let go of Rich Waltz and Tommy Hutton, like, people were up in arms down here. And it's like one of the few things Marlins fans all over could actually agree with and were unifyingly up in arms about, you know? It's like you guys are getting rid of everything we love as far as the players. At least leave these guys because they're the one constant we've had for more than a decade, you know? So it's these voices, these guys, these announcers. Even he was a radio guy, so you don't even see his face, but you know the voice. Yeah. And you remember that. For some people, it's like, especially these guys that last for decades, it's like, oh man, I remember listening to him when I was a kid. And, you remember, I was listening to him with my dad and my mom and my grandpa and my grandma and my sister, my brother, just all of these emotions kind of flood into it. And you feel connections to these guys, you know?
So I wanted to hear, at least from one Auburn alum, Auburn fan, on what her feelings are on the situation, because we can chat all we want, but we don't have that same connection to him as Auburn fans do.
I mean, she's just commented, if y'all haven't seen or heard the call on the kick six, you have to hear it, you know.
Yeah, I did get a chance to see the video. It started filming after the touchdown scored, but they were acting as if they were out in the stands. They were like hugging each other, and that's the kind of stuff that you like to see.
Yeah, you do. I mean, like, it's an aside, but like the Stanley Cup final, when the St. Louis Blues scored to win the game, they showed the view of the radio announcers for the Blues, and you see the guys as they're doing their call, but they're like, and they can't, like, they're trying not to scream in pure joy, right? Because they have to try and remain as professional as possible, but you could see their emotions. You could see how much they actually really do care, and they actually do become a part of the team. Some people hate some local announcers for the Boston Bruins, but TV play-by-play guy Jack Edwards. But I guess there might be some people in Boston who actually really love him and care about it and all that stuff, and he loves his team. He's a homer beyond all homers, but you don't get that with the national guys. Right. I mean, look at Joe Buck.
Right. He's gotten better, though, let's be honest.
But still, the Chicago Cubs have won the World Series. His Cubs call wasn't like, when I was expecting something more grandiose, something that would, hey, these guys haven't won in 108 years. Like, holy frickin' crap, the Chicago Cubs just won the World Series. Especially him as a Cardinals guy, and that's their main rival. I'm sure that's something he thought he would never see in his lifetime.
It was longer than 108 years, I think.
1908, 2016, 108 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, Robot Buck. Yeah, exactly. So, but then there are guys who, call it pretty pretty well, but the national guys don't really get as much into it as one would hope. Most of them do, but still. So that's Rod and Paula Bramblett.
Well, I want to see. Let's keep chatting.
Let's see. The big call was Cadillac. Rod's first big call was Cadillac Williams in 2003. And that's the first football game I really remember. I worked at Auburn Athletics as a student, and Rod was so kind anytime he interacted with the students. And she graduated in 2013. So my final 2 games were the kick six, and wow, that is that's a great 2 games to go out
I know.
on at your alma mater. Sheesh, what was the frickin'? Who was my quarterback at Florida State when I left?
That was Jameis Winston.
No, it wasn't. No, I graduated in 2011.
Oh,
so.
2011. My bad.
Christian Ponder?
God, oh, yeah, Christian Ponder. Dear Lord. Yeah, that was a very weird time in Seminoles history.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was E.J. Manuel before that, I think, or was it afterwards? I think it was afterwards. And then you had, was it Drew Weatherford, right? God. Man, damn it, Jameis,
he's kicking in for you.
He's a perverted moron, but man, he could win some football games. But he's a
perverted moron.
He's a perverted, very moron who really should not be playing football, and should just go off into the middle of nowhere and just let himself be. Now that he's a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. I actually got to see him at the Kansas City NCAA Regionals, and he was so excited to see Auburn basketball succeed. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Auburn made it to the Final Four. So, okay, so another one, Hall of Famer, Bart Starr, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the Green Bay Packers, he also passed of old age, So that was.
He was in his 80s, I think. I'm looking him up.
So it's not a tragic scenario compared to.
Let's see. 85, coincidentally enough, from Alabama. Went to Alabama.
Yeah.
Played only for the Packers from 1956 to 1971.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, the drafts were much longer back then in terms of rounds. He was picked round 17, picked 200. Nowadays we go up to like 256 or something, and that's through the 7th round.
Right.
Well, they had fewer teams back then, so I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. He won 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl
1 and 2, and the MVP in both of them.
Yeah, 2-time Super Bowl MVP. Won the NFL championship 5 times, and that was before the NFL-AFL merger, which resulted in the Super Bowl that we know today. 4 times Pro Bowl, 1 time first team All-Pro. It goes on and on and on. The dude was a stud.
And number 15 is retired by the Packers, Pro Football Hall of Famer, basically superstar of 1960s and 50, basically the 1960s NFL for his career. So, and then there's not much I want to say about him, to be honest.
Right, and we were discussing earlier. I mean, these guys, him and Buckner, they definitely deserve the reverence. They deserve the discussion.
I mean,
unfortunately, I think all 3 of us weren't born by the time both of them retired. Maybe Buckner.
I mean, yeah, Buckner. I was born at least, but
he retired in 1990.
So, I mean, there's one thing I wanted to talk about with regards to his passing. And it was just something that I noticed in myself when I was watching. It was yesterday. I was at my sister's house, and we're watching ironically enough, the Indians versus the Red Sox, and on the score crawl, I just happened to notice I was looking for the Marlins score, and it just said, "Oh, Bill Buckner dies at age of 69." And I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say because it's not. We gotta be respectful here. And I was taken aback because, 69 is not really an age that one would consider
Old.
Yeah, old nowadays. Even though a lot of football players and even wrestlers are dying in their 60s.
But he had dementia.
And that's something I did not know about, to be honest. I did not know that actually happened to him.
No.
So I'm showing here on screen. It was something that I noticed, and it's something that Jeremy Taché on Twitter pointed out, and I thought was incredibly disrespectful of ESPN, even though they did make a tribute themselves during SportsCenter. But I don't watch SportsCenter because it's trash. He said, really disappointed in ESPN here. There's zero reason to put this for Buckner on the day we find out he's passed. That's really awful. And it was on the score call. It says he dies at 69. And underneath that, you see committed the fateful error at first base in the 1986 World Series against the Mets. Like, they
Yeah.
Like, do you really have to say that? Really? Do you really have to say that? Even though, technically, he didn't blow the game was already blown by that point.
And then, let's be honest, the way that people act about it, they act as if that was the winning run that immediately led to the Mets winning the World Series.
No, it was Game 6.
It was Game 6. They had a whole other game to try and rectify the situation.
Right.
And they couldn't.
Still not his fault, Still not.
And then it was a tie game at that point.
And
so, yeah, it was a blown game.
And, of course, there's the narrative that the Red Sox should have put in a defensive replacement and all this other jazz. Basically the same thing like Grady Little should have taken out Pedro Martinez, or the Chicago Cubs basically falling apart in Game 6 against the Marlins after Bartman, even though it was Alex Gonzalez's error.
Right.
So it's...
Unfortunately, everyone says, oh, he's the GOAT, he's the GOAT.
Right.
When I was growing up, a GOAT meant a whole different thing. If someone called you a GOAT, if someone was called a GOAT, that meant they were getting the blame for something that may or may not have been justified blame.
Yeah.
Buckner is like the ultimate GOAT, at least one of the ultimate GOATs.
Until finally the Red Sox won in 2004, then it finally lifted off his shoulders, but it was still, like, if you looked at the documentary about the Steve Bartman issue, it's still one of the reasons it took him so long to get back to Boston. It took him so long to forgive a lot of media members. It's kind of one of the reasons why I look at, like, sports media guys, and having been there, having done some of the stuff, and it's like, guys, you guys aren't, like, you guys ask stupid questions. You guys trying to pull out narratives out of your ass. Like, you guys are sometimes you guys are just being dicks, and there's no reason for all of this. That's why I side with guys like KD when they get pissed off at the media. Like, I'd be pissed off too if I was Kevin Durant, and that's why I asked him to become a non-sponsor of our show, or an actual sponsor of our show. But still, this was incredibly disrespectful of ESPN. I hated that. And then, like, somebody posted a reply to him saying, what else would they put? The guy was famous for that one play, wasn't he? Millennials complain about everything. And I'm like, and I wrote back on our Sports Goofs account, because I tend to do this. So when you die, should we put in your obituary the most important negative thing of consequence that happened in your life? Because if you're really remembered for that one thing, you know what? We're going to put whatever was negative about your life and put it in your obituary. If that's the thinking, So, but whatever, you're dead, so who cares after that, right?
I mean...
Oh, God, that got dark.
I think it depends on what you did.
Okay, but normal dude who, not a massive political figure that would change the shape of humanity type of thing.
Right.
Which Bill Buckner was not. He was he's just an athlete.
And people overlook, I mean, and I'll be honest, I'm kind of guilty.
I'm pretty darn sure Boston got along as a city afterwards, even though the roads suck, because I was in Boston a few days ago. And how do people drive in that city, to be honest? I don't know how. I
Well,
tried.
ask BU. He lives up in the area.
Well, I drove in the area, and I don't know how you guys do it with all the roads and the bridges and the things and the curves and all that stuff. Gosh, put your stuff on a grid, just like New York City, just like Miami, and just be done with it. You know? Gosh, and everything's expensive in Boston. Dear Lord, parking is expensive. All their taxes are expensive. They're not spending it on the roads, that's for sure. Sheesh.
Well, let me
Maybe
add.
it's all the frickin' parades from all their championships.
Let me add something real quick about Buckner, and I'll be honest, I'm guilty of this as well because I didn't really do my research into him before he passed away. The dude, kind of like Bart Starr, I mean, he may not be a Hall of Famer, but the dude was a stud.
Well, he had 2,700 hits in his career. I mean, if he played 22 seasons, you know, I don't know if under the new sabermetrics you could make a case for him in the Hall of Fame,
But listen to this statistic, which is crazy. During his 22-year career, Bill Buckner struck out in only 4.5% of his plate appearances.
that's right. There was one season where he only had like 40 strikeouts.
So, of players with
Oh no, I don't think he ever had a season where he struck out more than 40 times. I think it was like a stat like that, which is crazy in this day and age of
listen to this.
Joey Gallo or whatever
Yeah.
striking out 40,000 times. You know,
Listen to this. In 1980, Buckner won the NL batting title with a 324 average. He also had 30 walks against just 18 strikeouts.
dear Lord, that's a full season, right?
I think so.
Like at least more than 140 games.
Yeah. So I don't think, and it says here the only person that struck out at a lower rate than him with a minimum of 10,000 career plate appearances, who debuted during the expansion era, which is 1961 to present. There was only one guy who struck out at a lower rate than him. Want to know who that is? Tony Gwynn.
Yeah, the hitting machine.
Uh,
Try driving to Providence. Oh, okay. So I'm glad I didn't go to Providence. If BU's yeah, it's true. Boston is a collection of very small towns that kind of grew into each other.
Mhm.
I was staying in Malden, Massachusetts. That's where I was. It's about 30 miles. Not 30 miles. Gosh darn it. 30 minutes north of the actual city of Boston. I'll tell you this one thing. Boston's a very walkable city. That's one thing I do, which is probably why I hated driving there. It's probably, but I had to drive into the city. That's the reason I even had a car. But other than that, I mean, if I stayed in the city, I probably would have just either Ubered or just taken public transit or whatever just to get to where I was going. But I stayed in Malden. They had a nice downtown area, very multicultural downtown area actually, which was really nice. And I ate at a nice pub. I had some chili that ran right through me in 40 seconds, but it was some good chili, that's for sure. And man, those people love their sports. They love their sports. I saw Bruins, Celtics, Patriots, and Red Sox stuff all over the place. Kind of wish it was like here, because here you see Miami Heat stuff. You see Dolphin stuff for some reason. They've been terrible for 19 years. And you see Hurricane stuff, but even though they've been terrible for 16 years. But you don't see much Marlins because, and Panthers because, But the town was really nice in Malden. Okay, if you have to stay someplace, I stayed in a nice bed and breakfast. Really nice. Not my non-sponsor, but it was really nice.
I guess speaking
Best
of
Chinese food Charles has ever had. Okay, Charles, really the best?
orange chicken. Listen,
Really?
You guys were getting all depressive about stuff.
That's
people
true. There were a lot of
don't remember,
Chinese
but
places out there.
I remember my Chinese food though, and it was delicious.
That's true.
Highly recommend it.
delicious.
And Dunkin' Donuts. There's Dunkin' Donuts all over the place.
I went to the first one, the one that they opened up when I went to Boston.
Yeah.
It was very, very interesting. So if you guys are depressed, go to Boston for the Chinese food and Dunkin' Donuts.
I
My
guess
drink sponsor of the week.
Okay.
I guess we should transition into non-sponsor since we're 10 minutes over.
Well, it's still got 5 minutes. It's still got 5 minutes.
Oh, right, because we're not at the true halfway point.
That's true. Oh, it's 8:10. Dear Lord. Yeah, maybe we should. Actually, you're right.
Before we go, I just want to say I was looking Buckner up on Baseball Reference, which is a great website. Maybe they should be my non-sponsor. He never had more than 40 strikeouts in a season.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
I was not paying attention.
Sorry. Oh, no, you were saying the 40 point something %, which is basically the same thing.
Right.
Still, it's insane.
That's insane.
It's an insane stat. Dear Lord. Okay, word from our non-sponsors, guys. Every week we have something that we know and love and cherish, and we kind of, give them a shout out, and hopefully one day somebody hears us and be like, you know what? I feel like these guys are up my alley, and I'll donate some money to actually these guys. But patreon.com/Sports Goofs. So anybody who wants to start out, Charles, you want to start out? You got something going on?
Yeah, I'll start it out. So everybody knows I have a long day at work. I get a little hungry. And sometimes I try to follow on the diet because I'm close to 30. I'm pretty much 30. I'm rounding up, and I'm trying to go against my better instincts, trying to stop with the saggy face and the big belly. But then there's always a calling, and the calling this weekend was, man, I want some ice cream. So where I live in Martin County doesn't really provide me with these great things. We got a Kill Winds, which isn't bad if you're in the area, but I wanted something that was just easy and convenient to get out. And my favorite kind of ice cream, for those who care to know, is cookies and cream. But I got myself a little bit Cold Stone Creamery, and I gotta tell you guys, for all the protein shakes mixed with green powders that's gonna extend my life and make me young and beautiful forever, that one bite of cookies and cream just took it all away as I devoured it.
Yeah. Oh, dear Lord. Shame. Look at this Celebrate Father's Day cake that they got up here.
Oh,
dear Lord.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. I'm gonna buy that as an excuse for my pets to celebrate me as their father. June 16th, go from there, and it's gonna be all mine.
Oh,
they got plentiful flavors. They got a bunch of flavors, stuff that I couldn't even list to you. Their cookie dough's not bad. I like their strawberry berries. That's good too. But basically this, if you don't want to go and get your Breyers ice cream, if you want to go get your makeshift ice cream, it's only okay to get the kind of weird makeshift ice cream combination like Chips Ahoy with cookies and cream and Oreos.
Yeah.
Shout out to whoever brought that around in my life. You want to get something even more sweet, go ahead and do Cold Stones. It's pretty affordable. You can get in different sizes. Have it your way, in an ice cream way. So Cold Stone Creamery, if you want something a little sweet, look at that Reese's peanut butter ice cream cup.
Yeah,
I'm salivating.
that is insane.
I'm gonna go get that a little bit right there. So they're my non-sponsor week promo code Tasty.
Tasty. Okay. I guess I'll go second. So guys, I was mentioning to Charles pre-show. I've been planning a little vacation. First actual vacation of my working career. So I wanted to do something really special, so I decided to invite my dad along with me on vacation. And we're doing an actual baseball road trip. It's something we've been discussing for years. My brother-in-law doesn't believe we're going because we've been discussing it for years. Like, we're going to go see every ballpark in America and even Canada. And he's like, my brother-in-law has been to, I think, almost every Major League Baseball stadium. And, of course, the ones that have shut down as well. Mm-hmm. And he actually has one of his friends that he actually challenges him with regards to not just going to the stadium, but seeing certain events. So my brother-in-law is the only one to be at opening day of a brand new ballpark, which is the Marlins Park. Mm-hmm. So he's got that. He was hoping he'd get to one of the games in Puerto Rico, but he couldn't do that. And, stuff like that. Maybe he can go to, like, the final game at a closing ballpark because the Rangers are moving out this year. So, but my dad and I have been discussing this for years, and we're finally doing it. Okay, I can assure you we're finally doing it this year. Okay, 3 cities we're hitting up. St. Petersburg, Tropicana Field. All these years I've yet to been there to have gone to a Tampa Bay Rays game, even though they play the Marlins every year. So we're heading up Tampa, then we're going to go up I-75, head on over to Atlanta. So we're going to see SunTrust Park, or the brand new ballpark of the Braves. And then, well, not brand new, but still like 2 seasons in. And then after that, we're heading on over to Washington, D.C. to see the Washington Nationals. And then we're heading on back down I-95 to come back home. But, guys, traveling is expensive. And sometimes you need a little help from some companies that do so. And one of the companies that actually helped me out a lot last week is, and this coming week that's coming up for my vacation, Expedia. Okay?
.com.
There you go, guys. Expedia.com. I still got the codes don't cream me up here, but I'll search for them right now. Expedia.com. Just go there. They have great deals on hotels, plane rides, and rent-a-cars. I've used them for almost every single time I've traveled for my law firm. We book using them. They have like their rewards programs and all that crap. Last week, I really needed to use them because my flight out of Boston was delayed due to, I think there was a storm out in Washington, D.C. I was supposed to go from Boston to Charlotte. That got canceled. Then I was supposed to go from Boston to D.C. and then back to Miami, and that got canceled. So guess what? I'm stuck in Boston for another night. Gosh darn it. And I don't want to sleep at the airport because, I'm a lawyer. I gotta at least act the part of a lawyer. So I gotta at least find someplace, but I'm still poor. So I found a nice cheap hotel for $109 on Expedia. Only like 15 minutes up the road from the airport. I booked it like in minutes. They already had all my stuff. I walked in. The hotel was good. Okay. There were no roaches on the floor. There were no cigarette burns in the curtains. The toilet was functional. There was air conditioning. It was actually a really nice place to stay. If you had to for $109, man, it was good. Okay. I didn't have to put any black lights or anything like that. I booked
chose
them
not to.
Yeah, exactly. So, Expedia, thank you very much, and I used them to book my trip just now. So, and I'm not, I'm not on the streets. So, thank you, Expedia. Promo code. Gosh.
Well, Charles, you didn't give us a promo code, did you?
No, he gave one.
Tasty.
Tasty.
Okay, promo code.
I'm in,
No black
in
lights
varying
necessary.
states of consciousness.
Cigarette burns.
Cigarette burns. Okay. I'm actually going to keep with the travel theme here.
Yay.
Trivago.
Okay.
Every year, well, I guess this. Can I do a double non-sponsor?
Dude, it's this. Our show has no rules for the most part.
It's the improvisational episode too.
Exactly.
That's true. Every year, this is unusually early. It's usually in the middle of June. But every year up in Orlando, there's a conference called Family Cafe. Family Cafe is an annual conference
Is this your other non-sponsor? Family Cafe?
Right.
Okay.
I'll do the tie-in a second.
Okay.
It's an annual conference dedicated to disabilities. It's people come from all over the state, actually all over the nation, as a matter of fact, to go to this, and it's so educational, so informative, so fun.
The Family Cafe?
The Family Cafe.
Okay.
I've been going since, oh goodness, probably like 2004, 2005.
Okay.
And this is an annual thing. So I've been going for well over a decade. And in the last few years, actually since 2014, believe it or not, it's hard to believe, I've been giving seminars at this thing. It's part exhibition. Various companies will demonstrate various mobility things, adding ramps to vans for accessibility.
Is this where they show off those cool prosthetics and all that crap too, as well?
No.
Okay. I was hoping. Okay.
Maybe in the future. Who knows? That would actually be smart since the main company is based out of UCF. So I don't know why they haven't gone to that yet.
Okay.
But I give seminars. I've been giving seminars each year since 2014. So next week, I'm driving up to Orlando to give my seminars. And that's where Trivago comes in. Trivago helped me book a hotel room for the first night that I'm there. I have a hotel set up at the conference center hotel for the nights of the conference, but I needed a place to stay prior to then.
Yeah.
So I got a hotel through them. I also got a hotel for the bar exam through Trivago.
Nice.
Trivago is the Expedia of hotels, although I think Expedia does hotels as well.
Yes.
But it aggregates all the different hotel deals. Sometimes you can find better ones, but the places they give, they're very low prices, fairly reputable places, like 95% of the time. Sometimes you'll get some kind of odd websites to buy from. But I like Trivago. It's easy and simple. I'm a regular user of them. I don't know if you ever decide on using a hotel somewhere. I would highly recommend using Trivago because they are good. So key promo code for the Family Cafe is Guido. And the reason why is their mascot is called Guido, believe it or not.
Okay, but it's not like the situation
no.
or anything like that?
Okay.
No.
If you look at the page again, you'll see a giant...
Didn't one of those guys get deported from
Maybe?
the Jersey Shore? I don't know. I feel
you...
like one of them, or maybe that was somebody from the Real Housewives of New Jersey. Somebody got deported, but,
Yeah, I think if you look up Family Cafe Guido, you may find it, but... He's kind of an odd mascot, but it's keeping with the whole theme of...
Was that little chef guy there?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
So that's Guido. And then promo code for Trivago is Hotel Trivago.
Okay. All right, boys. We could talk about Jersey Shore if MTV gave us money. Was it still going? They were down here in Miami, which was awful for the city, but... okay, guys. A very pressing matter.
Tacos?
Oh, yeah. So, I've been meaning to talk about this for a while. I was at Taco Bell the other day. And, of course, you get your combos. I always get
True American tacos.
Yeah, I always get a number 6, the two chalupas. And then, of course, they got the side taco that comes with it.
Yeah.
And then they ask you the question of whether you want a softer... Well, most of them don't even ask. And they just give you the default hard shell.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the good employees actually give you the option of the hard or the soft shell taco. And I have to tell you guys, and I have to ask, what is the best of those two options? Like, if you're going to make a taco, how are you going to make it? With a soft shell or a hard shell?
Well,
do you want your mouth to bleed or do you not?
Well, I think I know where you stand in this, but let me ask you: I haven't had a soft taco in forever.
Really?
Yeah. Are the soft tacos what is contained in said soft taco?
And that could be part of the debate, really, because sometimes that could influence your decision.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I for one. Now, the hard shell taco does have its merits.
You know what? I've actually never had a soft taco. I take that back.
You've never had one?
I've never had a soft taco.
Oh, wow.
I've had...
So me and Charles are going to have to convince you.
Right. Well,
actually, I don't even know Charles' stance, to be honest.
Well, let me say this. What I thought were the soft tacos are similar. It's the same material, I suppose, but it was something called Mexi Melt, which is basically... cheese rolled up in a tortilla. That was when I was much younger and couldn't really stand
Okay.
more spicy type foods. It was cheese. That's it. Cheese.
Okay. Anyways, well, Charles, where do you stand on the matter?
All right.
To be honest.
Just as I said in our last case of controversy, that a hot dog is technically a sandwich.
It's
I
not,
stand
but still.
by the fact that that's why it's a case in controversy. We have the segment name. It's set. Soft tacos are better than hard tacos because I don't like getting freaking cut up like I'm a piggy in the butcher shop.
Okay.
It also depends on I'm gonna redact a little bit. It depends on the shell because the moment they had the Doritos Los Tacos introduced, it was like kissing Jesus. But 9 out of 10 times, soft taco.
Okay, 9 out of 10 times a soft taco for you. All right. Well, so the other day I went to a friend's house and we decided to make tacos. Okay. Now, this was kind of like a spur of the moment type of thing, but we were at the supermarket and we decided, and we saw the Taco Bell sells their kits, their taco kits. All right. It comes with it comes with the tacos themselves, a packet of their mild sauce, and their seasoning for the ground beef or whatever meat you're using. If you want diarrhea, you can use it, but I usually don't use the Taco Bell seasoning. I just do it myself. Okay, but regardless, we bought both versions, the soft shell one and the hard shell one. Okay, so that means I had a nice way of determining which one was the best. Same toppings, same meat, same sauce, everything was the same except for the shells themselves. And I have to say, guys, it's a hard shell for me. It is it is the hard shell for me. I was
Whoa. Hold on here.
Okay, what?
Because now we're going to expand the hole a lot wider. Are you just making this off a play of Taco Bell or of any kind of Hispanic ethnic food that involves shells, hard shells or like soft wraps or the
Well, I'm using Taco Bell. Okay, well the soft shells they're basically everything is just tortillas, okay? Yeah. Okay, Mexican food is just the same ingredients just folded differently in different ways, okay? That's just Mexican food, okay? But looking at the image we have here, okay, on the screen, you have the soft and the hard shell taco. Okay, you have the soft one, which is the tortilla, nice and soft. You can fold it, whatever you can do with it. Right? You can make a burrito out of it if you want to.
That's actually a question I have. What do you define as the difference between a soft taco and a burrito?
Well, it's folded differently. A burrito is all encased in inside of the tortilla itself. Okay, there's no outside. There's no opening. Okay. Okay, you bite into it, and then nothing is spilling all over the place. Like a taco. Taco, you have to maintain it. You have to maintain the shape with your hands. Okay.
Right.
The soft shell taco, in that sense, for me, it's a little too droopy for me sometimes. It's a little too droopy. The hard shell taco keeps everything nice and firm inside of there. Okay, and then you get that texture. That texture was what did it for me. The crunch.
So it could break so easily.
The crunch, the crunch was what did it for me. The crunch, the texture, that feeling of crunch, like I was gnawing at a bone, like I was a freaking dinosaur. Okay, sometimes I want to feel like I'm a dinosaur, guys, and the hard shell taco gives me that sensation. Okay, that's just the you bite into a soft shell taco, and you cut through it so easily, but it still doesn't have that texture, that taste, that crunch, that just satisfying crunch sound that you hear. Okay, I don't know. That was what sold it for me, to be honest. And my friend agreed. Just something about that crunch, that texture, that taste of the hard shell. The soft shell, you know what? You did your job. Okay, you did your job. You held the food there for a while, but you're still kind of mushy and still kind of a little too soft for me, okay? You're a little too soft for me, okay? What are you, Russell Westbrook? No. Okay, give me the hard shell, all right? Give me the hard shell. Give me the Damian Lillard of tacos. That's just me.
Oh, damn. So you're basically saying that the hard shell taco just carries the weight of everything for you.
Well, technically, that's its job. Really,
Yeah.
that's it. That is its job.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I it could be either an agree to disagree, or it could just be like situationally it's different. Because when I've had like 5 shots of tequila in me, I definitely want a soft taco so I don't cut the edge of my mouth looking like I just got a glass low grin. Don't Google that, by the way, please. Don't do that, because I am not responsible for your PTSD for the viewers out there. But then, why can't we all be friends? Because have you ever had a cheesy gordita crunch from Taco Bell?
Whoa, hold
which
on.
has the hard shell with the soft shell wrapped around it.
Whoa, are you on the fence now, dude? What is this? Okay.
No, I'm trying to find a merger.
Or are you some
I'm
sort
trying
of?
to find a ways.
Okay.
My
Can't be
my
flip-flopping
comment
like-
says, hey.
Well, you can't be
Sometimes-
flip-flopping like John Kerry. Come on now.
I'm not flip flopping. I'm putting each foot individually in the right shoe.
Mm-hmm.
Because if this is a nature deliciousness, it's what you want and what you crave. Unlike the greatest case of controversy that the hot dog is a sandwich, I don't care what anyone says. There's a
Alright.
lot that come into this.
Okay. All right. So getting on the taco.
That's why you have to be more. We have to draw the proper line that we're talking here. Is
Okay.
this a Taco Bell fight?
Well, I just use Taco Bell as kind of like the basis, the standard, because if we start getting into other restaurants and things like that, especially like, if you actually go to a legitimate Mexican restaurant, then we start going all over the place. Taco Bell is kind of like the standard, and it's something that everybody can relate to because they're all over the place. I'm just that, and that was the example that I used, because really the Taco Bell hard shell and the soft shell that you can buy at the supermarket, I think that's like, it's like the Mario of tacos. Okay, it's an all arounder. Okay, it's an all around thing. You can master the taco with the Taco Bell stuff, and it's for beginners.
Or Luigi.
No, I'm saying that Taco Bell's shells, either soft or hard. It's the Mario of tacos. Okay, all right. You go to Taco Bell, you're gonna have a good time for the most part. I think maybe not afterwards, but for the most part, during you'll have a good time, and especially if you get a Baja Blast.
I gotta say, one reason that I like Taco Bell, and honestly, I like the combo locations where it's a KFC Taco Bell.
Okay.
Gives you options, and some of them have a tertiary thing, which is kind of like a mini Pizza Hut.
Right. Yeah.
But I can go to the same location, and do I want fried chicken? Do I want Taco Bell? Who knows? So it gives me options. There's one right by my house, actually. They have cherry Pepsi. They are one of 2 places that has cherry Pepsi on tap.
Right.
Taco Bell / KFC.
Okay.
Sam's Club. There are only 2 places that I know of.
That's true. Most of this fast food restaurants are Coca-Cola
Exactly.
stuff.
And even if they have Pepsi, they don't carry cherry Pepsi. Cherry Pepsi is my favorite soda, by God.
Okay.
So that is another thing in their favor.
Yeah. Is there Charles? Is there a taco tier list? Everybody's doing tier lists now.
Yes, Charles, it's Pepsi Wild Cherry, but I wanted to.
Could we make an argument that there's a taco tier list?
I mean, 2 things. One, Andrew, you have to order extra wild cherry, just to make the person look nonplussed when you make the order. Okay, so here's the thing, Francisco. If you're gonna say taco tier list, are you saying within regards of franchises, or like what is our preferences of when we go get any kind of because then it's dangerous, because when I lived in Miami, I couldn't find a damn Mexican restaurant at all, and when I wanted a burrito, everybody's like, do you want the medianoche? I'm like, I don't want a medianoche.
It's too bad. It's too bad, because there's a couple of good taco places that they weren't open where you were here. That's the thing, though.
Oh,
okay.
I missed out. Okay.
Yeah, you missed out. There's
How
a
about
couple
they-
of taco
they
places that
had
I
it,
know
would
that are
say
pretty good.
The monsters.
Yeah. All right, they specifically waited until you left. But okay, we'll think about a taco tier list later. Okay. So
Yeah.
I think that's. But I'm going hard shell, guys, and I think if I think most people. Maybe, I don't know how many people would stand by my argument, but I still think the hard shell is the way to go if you're going to go either way. And of course, Charles does his soft shell stuff, regardless of his inebriation. Right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, where are we on this show? Dear, it's 8:36. Dear Lord. Gosh. So
Well, we got off to a bit of a late start.
yeah, I mean, we haven't talked Stanley Cup or well, we actually wanted to go down the rabbit hole of the Greensboro Grasshoppers, to be honest, as a minor league team.
Do you mind if I just do a quick shout out for a couple of college sports, really?
Oh yeah. Oh, look, what baseball is happening?
Yeah,
And didn't the softball final happen?
it's in the process.
Okay, I think Florida State was in it.
They are in it.
Okay,
Let me see.
we won last year. I know
Yeah.
that.
It was the first time you've won in a baseball type sport.
Well, yeah, because the Seminoles keep going to the College World Series, but keep losing.
You guys suck.
Just can't get the job done, dude. Just cannot get the job done.
No, actually, I think you guys were eliminated from the
Softball?
Women's College World Series.
Okay.
Yeah, you were eliminated in Tallahassee, as a matter of fact. You're super regional. For anyone that doesn't know, I'll just do a quick overview of how the seeding system works. You have 64 teams. You have 16 national seeds. Fuck Florida and fuck Stanford, bastards. I understand your feeling there. Boston University was eliminated because of them.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, how it works.
I can get behind you on the first one, that's for sure.
I totally agree on the first one. I'm okay with Stanford. I have a friend that went there. So how it works is you got 16 regional brackets, as they were.
Mm-hmm.
Each of them has 4 teams. 16 times 4 is 64. It's a double elimination.
Okay.
Where, yada, yada, yada. If you lose 2 games, you're gone.
Okay.
So if you win your regional, you move on to what's called super regional.
Right.
There are 8 of those. The top 8 seeds host those if they advance the next round. I don't know how they decide where the next super regionals would be if that team is eliminated. I don't know. So that's the winner of 2 regionals play in that one. The winner of those regionals goes to the College World Series, Women's College World Series. It's the same system for baseball and softball.
Okay.
Those
Where's the women's hosted?
Oklahoma City.
Okay, and Omaha is, of course, baseball.
Right. Super Saiyan regionals.
Super Nintendo regionals.
Exactly. So those 8 teams that advance from the super regionals are broken up into 2 brackets of 4, where it undergoes the same double elimination set. The team that comes out of those, of one of those, so the 2 teams that win those double elimination brackets. Mm-hmm. Oh, and the super regional is best 2 out of 3.
Okay.
And then the College World Series, the final, is another best 2 out of 3.
Right.
So it's kind of, the College World Series itself is a microcosm or just a repeat of the
Previous
original.
round.
So it goes
Mm-hmm.
double elimination 2 of 3, double
Right.
elimination 2 of 3. The Women's College World Series teams are UCLA, Washington, Arizona, Minnesota, Florida, Oklahoma, Alabama, Oklahoma State. They haven't played any games yet.
Okay.
Baseball, few surprises. A lot of people. The biggest surprise, I think, was TCU. A lot of people think they shouldn't have gone in, but they did. I just wanted to let people know that it is happening. Starts at the end of the month. And then Virginia, they've won another national championship this year. They won men's Division I lacrosse, beating Yale. Final score was where is it? I had it. Darn it. 13-9. 13-9.
That sounds like a sport Yale would be good at.
And it has all
I'm just saying.
to this and will lead
Lacrosse feels like a sport that Yale will be good at.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that's my little college sports vent. Oh, and I guess for 2 seconds I'll discuss Fulmer Cup while I'm in the college realm. Nothing happened.
Oh, okay. So thus nothing is happening on the screen because I forgot to put up the graphics. But okay, so nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Nobody was naughty.
Right. This was a slow week for once.
Okay, everybody enjoyed their Memorial Day.
Exactly.
Alrighty.
And yep, hail Maryland for winning the women's D1 lacrosse championships. Thank you, BU, for that one. Man, Delmarva is raking in the championships. Delmarva is Delaware, Maryland, Virginia.
So basically the whole Chesapeake Bay.
Exactly.
Is absolutely raking.
So Delmarva is on the top of the world right now.
Okay. Alrighty.
Oh, and just to let you know, Florida State is in the NCAA tournament right now, the baseball.
And that's actually pretty significant because it's the final season of our legendary coach,
Mike Martin.
Right.
40 years. This is his 40th and final year.
Then once again, the Florida State Seminoles have made it to the most College World Series, but have yet to win one.
They are...
I think they're at like 20 or 21, something like that.
What is the...
The Buffalo Bills?
They're the Buffalo Bills of college baseball.
I guess you would say that. Yeah, or Buffalo sports in general.
I'm actually looking them up right now. I just want to torment you.
The Braves.
I want to torment you.
Bob McAdoo. He never won a championship.
Here's the thing. They have a great winning percentage. 725 winning percentage.
But have yet to win the big one.
Exactly. You have been to... Good Lord. So many championships.
Right.
You've been to the national championship game 3 times.
Yeah.
Or appearance, since it's the best 2 of 1.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, maybe they changed it. I don't know. 22 appearances in the College World Series. That's the final 8. You have been... Well, needless... They've appeared in the NCAA tournament 57 times. 42 straight appearances, which is an active streak.
Right.
They have hosted a regional. That means...
Meaning he's been in for his entire career with the Seminoles, he's been in the tournament every single year.
They've been a top 16 seed, meaning they've hosted a regional 35 times. 8 times straight from 2011 to 2018. This is the first time since 2011 they have not hosted a regional because they sucked, relatively speaking.
Yeah, relatively, yes.
Fingers
crossed.
They've been a national seed 11 times. Super regional advance 16 times. 6 straight from 2008, 2013. They're a good school. They just can't
win it.
They just can't win it.
Yeah. So, if you're gonna go for baseball, you go to Florida State, but just well, I don't know. Maybe it'd be funny if next year they actually do win it when he's retired. It's like it was just him the whole time.
That would be so awful. I would feel terrible.
I wouldn't. We'd actually have one to go along with our other championships, So, okay. So,
all right, baseball rant over.
Well, baseball continuing because better known minor league team, and we said we would cover them the next time we do this segment. And it's the Greensboro Grasshoppers, or as really the baseball world knows as the team that was pissed off so much at the Marlins that they ended their affiliation right there. And once again, here's the story. Gary Dembo, who is the head of scouting, for the Marlins right now. Derek Jeter was able to coax him away from the New York Yankees to come run the Marlins minor league system because the Marlins needed desperate help to rebuild their minor league system. They've done it. They've got the 13th ranked minor league system after being like near the bottom before that. So these trades, even though they're not working out in big league level, they are working in the minor leagues. Okay, but one of the stories that came out was about Gary Denbo, who, by all accounts from this article from Ken Rosenthal, is not a very nice human being. A very, very smart baseball man, but not the most personable of guys. And there was a story that he went out to see the team's affiliate out in Greensboro, North Carolina, home of the Grasshoppers, where the Carolina Hurricanes actually played their first couple of seasons before they moved to Raleigh. And the Greensboro Grasshoppers have bat dogs, okay, which, if nobody knows, are dogs
that are crossbred with bats. They're flying dogs.
Well, that would either be really cool or terrifying, depending on the combination. But regardless, they're dogs that, in place of bat boys or bat Michael Cera young adults, are dogs. So the batters, they swing, they hit the ball, and then they drop their bats, and the dog goes out there, gets the bat, and returns it to the dugout. And everybody has a good time, okay? Except for Gary Denbo. And the story is that the Greensboro Grasshoppers actually kept their bat dogs in the team clubhouse, okay? Gary Denbo saw that, and he said that they needed to get those effing dogs out of the clubhouse because these are baseball players, and the baseball players cannot be with the dogs, Mm-hmm. I think he was offended or something like that. Anyways, word got out to the owner of the Greensboro Grasshoppers that he was telling them to do this, and the owner came down. I guess they got into some sort of shouting match or whatever, and the owner said, "We're ending our affiliation with you at the end of the season." Which prompted Derek Jeter and I guess Michael Hill, president of baseball operations for the Marlins, to try and salvage the affiliation, because if I'm looking on the screen here, the Marlins were the affiliate of the Greensboro Grasshoppers since 2003. So Greensboro and the Marlins have been they had been together for quite a while, and it's kind of funny because I think Derek Jeter was passed through them because they were the Yankees affiliate before that. So they tried to salvage the relationship. Nothing could be done. The owner was hell-bent on having his dogs in the clubhouse. And thus, the Marlins are now affiliated with like the Clinton Lumberjacks, and the Grasshoppers are affiliated with the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Greensboro Grasshoppers were founded, let's see, when were they founded here? In 1979, out in Greensboro, North Carolina. Previous affiliations with the Pirates, the Marlins before that, the Yankees, and the Yankees a few times, the Red Sox, the Reds, the Cardinals, the Phillies, just a bunch of teams. They've got 4 minor league titles, 1980, 81, 82. That was a nice stretch between 1980 and 82. Let's see, who were they affiliated with then? The New York Yankees, actually. So it must have been some pretty good guys in that squad. And then the last championship was out in 2011. They've gone by a ton of Greensboro names. Greensboro Bats, Hornets, Patriots, Yankees, Red Sox, Champs, Farmers. Their colors here. Their mascot is Guilford Grasshopper. They play out in First National Bank Field. And let's see. So let's take a look at their notable alumni. You've got Hall of Famers, Haney Manouche, manager, 1964, Johnny Mize, and Mariano Rivera.
Yeah.
So Sandman himself. Other notable alumni: Johnny Allen, seeing you guys here. Robinson Cano, Chris Coughlin, Jose Fernandez, Carl Everett. That was a player I remember to forget. Let's see.
No John Carlos Stanton?
Derek Jeter.
Ooh.
Yay.
Josh Johnson. Mike Lowell. Don Mattingly, Marlins manager right now, and of course Yankee. So once again, lots of Yankees on here. Marcell Ozuna, Otis Nixon, Andy Pettitte, Jorge Posada, Kurt Schilling, Reggie Sanders, Giancarlo Stanton, Mel Stoudemire.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's how far back we're going here.
Dang.
Yeah. Jason Vargas, Christian Yelich. So those are...
this club has created...
They got a lot of...
Like 5 or 6 World Series, tons of MVPs.
I mean, you see here on the list all the credentials of these guys. Okay, NL, AL MVPs, World Series champions, All-Stars, Hall of Famers. Yeah.
I would venture a guess that they are statistically the greatest minor league baseball team of all time. Just
I mean, just picking an all-star team out of that list.
Right, based purely on the talent that's been developed out of there.
I mean, look at their active list as well. I mean, along with like Giancarlo, JT Realmuto, Steve Cishek is on there, Luis Castillo, not second baseman, but the current Luis Castillo for the Reds. Just a bunch of guys out here, which is probably why the Marlins were really desperate in trying to keep the affiliation, because Greensboro has been good to them for quite a while. And of course, they've got that pedigree with the Yankees. I'm sure Derek Jeter wanted to keep it because of that as well, because he passed through Greensboro along with the other core guys from those Yankees championships. And, well, Gary Ndebo just hated dogs. And, well, actually, the Marlins had to specifically tell the media that, no, he doesn't hate dogs. He just didn't want them to be in the clubhouse with the players. But the jury is still out on whether he hates dogs or not. If he does, then, oh boy. But Greensboro has, gosh, this is a pretty legendary franchise. If
BU brought up an interesting point. If you look at the Wikipedia article, to put it in his words, the Yankees, Red Sox, and Reds played hot potato with Greensboro before they affiliated with the Marlins. And he's not wrong.
Right. Their history was pretty extensive.
It was Boston for a couple of years with other teams, and it was Boston again for 4 years, and it was Yankee for 10 years. 1 year with the Reds, then 4 years with the Yankees, then 3 years with Boston, then 1 year with Cincinnati, 12 years with the Yankees, and then 15 years with the Marlins. Can you imagine what the world would be like if one of those teams had any semblance of a long-term relationship with that team? I mean, look what would have happened. Let's say the Red Sox, they grabbed the club in 53 to 57. Imagine if they kept the team from then until the present. They would have Derek Jeter.
Well, no, not necessarily.
Theoretically speaking.
Well, not necessarily, because it's not like those teams are it's not like the minor league team is drafting the players. It's still the Yankees would have, Derek Jeter would have been in, I don't know, some other city out in like those Atlantic states or whatever.
Yeah, I guess.
But still, Greensboro still produced these guys. They still stayed in Greensboro, North Carolina. So, maybe butterfly effect. What if Derek Jeter was, instead of staying in Greensboro, North Carolina, he was staying in Richmond, Virginia? Okay, well, maybe he doesn't become a Hall of Famer or something like that, and then Charles would be really, really, really sad. So, that alternate scenario where maybe it is the Red Sox churning out championships instead of the Yankees, and
Can you
and just a
imagine?
nightmare of Charles's dreams.
Can you imagine what the world would be like?
Oh God, the more Boston teams being successful.
Basically, if
God,
you guys
it's-
ever
it's
played
a work-
Wolfenstein,
Wolfenstein. Oh yeah,
That's what it
basically yeah, like
the Germans won World War II.
yeah, basically. And that's the premise of the game, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, then they play out in this field, out in
They play out in this field.
74.99 people, but we're getting long in the tooth here for this episode. We got 5 minutes left. How do we spend this 5 minutes? Charles, did anything happen out in WWE?
Well, expansion of Wrestling World, so I could do this in 5 minutes.
Oh yeah. All right.
All right, we're going to transition, ladies and gentlemen, to the cage. And the cage is unforgiving steel told by a man in his 30s trying to hope and pray on a pipe dream that he can quit his life of being an attorney
The Braves
to
never
be-
do anything. That's true.
to be something more. So I can keep this pretty short and summary is that right now we're hitting the downtime of wrestling. Wrestling, as I tell people, as I preface every week, is it's not fake, it's scripted. That involves men doing a dance like figure skating in tights that are meant to be beat up on, sweat and bled out. This week was the competition. Not so much about WWE and how their reaction to respond to low ratings on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live on Tuesdays was to introduce a 24/7 title. Now this week's about All Elite Wrestling, sponsored by Tony Khan, or founded by Tony Khan, who was the son of Shad Khan, the owner of Jacksonville Jaguars, and 3 former wrestlers, or current wrestlers, one of them being a former WWE employee, Cody Rhodes.
I
and
love
Young
this.
Bucks.
I love this banner here. I love this Fighter Fest.
Fighter Fest.
It looks like the Fire Festival logo.
Yep,
That
their
w-
names aren't that great, I'll tell you that.
I am full on board with that name right there.
So this week they launched their pay-per-view, their first pay-per-view under All Elite
Daytona
Wrestling and
Beach.
Double or Nothing. And it turned out to be a moderate success. I didn't pay $50 for it because you'll never get me to pay $50 for any pay-per-view when I have the WWE network. They can get the pay-per-views for $10, but I have YouTube. And let's kind of see all the matches that were there. So this was their big introduction. And pretty much it went smoothly. There's a lot of no names that they had to do a slow introduction to some guys, and they'll do that when it comes to their TNT deal that starts in October. But some of the names that caught up is Maxwell Jacob Freeman, MJF, who is that great, smarmy, old school heel. The Young Bucks are always a good name. They had Pentagon coming in. As you saw in the background, Cody Rhodes took a sledgehammer to Triple H's throne, so that's some symbolism there. But the biggest night, or the biggest, surprise of the night was Jon Moxley, aka Dean Ambrose, coming in and just basically announcing to the world that he signed with AEW. And he did it in a very interesting way by decimating Jericho and then, of course, Kenny Omega. So you're going to get people's interest piqued if you're going to have Kenny Omega, the prize of New Japan, versus Jon Moxley, the great castaway of the WWE, having a feud to probably headline their TV rivalry, because you don't do it yet. You don't do it pay-per-views only. You got to let the TV come in. And the other match of intrigue was they introduced the All Elite Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship, and that son of a gun is huge. It looks like the New Japan Baby belts, or Heavyweight Championship belt, had a repair with a UFC title belts and produced this thing. It's massive. So what they had in this pay-per-view was a 21-man battle royal, which was won by Adam Hangman Page, who I think has some potential to be one of the number 1 contenders. And of course, that main event of Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, which Jericho won. So it's going to be Hangman Page versus Chris Jericho in the future, which if I'm booking it, which is my favorite game to play every day in the office, if I book it, this is how I do it. I have Jericho win, just get that smarmy heel who feels like he's never going to end and he's never going to lose. And the other highlight was Cody Rhodes went against Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes, also known as Goldust, had a very bloody affair. Dustin Rhodes was all up, shedding blood, and at the very end, when it's all said, Cody says, "Hey, I don't need an enemy. I don't need a partner. I need my brother to go against these guys." So basically, there's a new competition. Hopefully, it's not treated like the AAF.
I'm looking on here. There was a Gabriel Iglesias went to a match there, so he's a fan now. You got this SI article here where Terry Funk explains why he believes it will succeed, and I guess the headline here you have here is Vince and the WWE they're not fresh. Yes, Vince does big business. They have the best talent in the world, but they have no fresh ideas, which, judging by, since we started this segment, is basically your entire complaint about the WWE.
Yeah, but here's the thing. What I always tell people: if All Elite Wrestling wants to survive, the whole mantra is not to compete with the WWE.
It's to set themselves apart.
Yeah, exactly. If the shows are going to be in the future for the WWE, they have Monday Night Raw, and they're going to go to SmackDown on Fridays. You make sure your TNT deal is going to be on. Or in either the mainstream to expand, or people who are true diehard wrestling fans.
I mean, look at the comments below this. AEW was created by people who really love wrestling. In addition, this product is aimed at satisfying its audience. And I see no reason why the company would not be successful in the future.
Here's the one comment I'll give people. Because we all like the idea of the miscasted standouts who felt they're greater. There was a greener pasture out there compared to what they had in WWE, like Cody and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
And it happens, but wrestling is a 12-month event. When you have hours upon hours of content to write and release, you're going to have slow moments. For WWE's sake, this is the slow moment time. And here's the thing, you can say, oh, AEW is made for people to feel about wrestling who enjoy it, but go watch Kofi Kingston's story from, being a last-minute fill-in for Mustafa Ali in Elimination Chamber to riding the wave of WrestleMania, having a near 5-star match, if not a 5-star match against Daniel Bryan, which culminated into him winning the WWE Championship. That was one of the best storylines of the year. And that will outweigh, for the majority of the year, for me, the bad that I get of the Baron Corbins versus, Elias ×5 or Finn Balor. And I like those guys, but that's the thing in wrestling. When it's a year-long process, when there's hours of content have to be released each week, you string along the one or two, good things that stand out, because that's how it should be. That's why you have, in other sports, your annual top 5 games of the year, blah, 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 blah. And here's the thing, AEW is fresh, but there's going to come a time, like everything else, that's going to get a little stale. And that's when you just have to be fresh. They have to survive, be different, but remember that you have to also get mainstream audiences in addition to the people who love the old school days.
I mean, so they're just starting this thing up, right?
Yes.
Like, how new is this?
I mean, they have their first pay-per-view now. They made the announcements of All Elite Wrestling about early January. It's been in the works for about a year.
Okay.
But they have a TV deal in place with TNT, who used to broadcast WCW, which was famous for the Monday Night Wars.
Okay.
But the thing is that what happened at the end of the day for WCW, they went.
Right.
Be a little different. Don't lose, survive. Get the quality of people that you want. Some people like college basketball, men's college basketball. Some people like women's college basketball. Don't try to compete one at the other, because at the end of the day, maybe I like dunks and I don't get that in women's college basketball. Maybe I get that in men's college basketball only, right? However, if I like the concept of basketball and a pure fluid offense with a ball spread around, and I like the idea of play on defense, and both of those forms of college basketball, male and female, give me that, let me enjoy it. Don't try to be in competition against each other.
Okay. So, gosh, that Fighter Fest, that is such a great name. I am all over that name. But, okay, so you're saying they have to get this out to the mainstream, right? Mm-hmm. So being on TNT is going to do that. But, I mean, because this is the first I'm hearing about this, okay? How do you get a guy like me to hear it? Because, I think most casual sports fans know the WWE exists, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But we don't know all these other leagues exist. Mm-hmm. And yes, you can say that's a testament to the longevity of the WWE and, of course, their marketing. So how do these guys get there?
That's the question they have to find out, especially in a day and age. Because here's the one thing I'll tell people. In the rules of wrestling is you never give good to great matches on the TV. The rule of thumb was always you build the stories from television, you give a couple of peppering matches to build up the feud, and you have the payoff on the pay-per-views.
Right.
Today's day and age, when you want to be different from the competition, but as a consumer, you're telling me that I have to pay $50 to see the end game to a lot of these stories, when the competition that you're going against only tells me I got to pay $10 a month.
Ooh. Yeah,
guys,
that's
a big difference. And I think what they have to do is kind of either lower their TV prices or their pay-per-view prices, or do something in the near future. Because at the end of the day, you make money on the TV ratings, and there are details of their financials are a little weird because I think they don't get advertising, but they got TNT to kind of fork over the production costs.
Okay.
But you get a lot of recouping when you have $50 pay-per-views. That's the reason why I was always charged. You know, when we were kids back in the day, like, Mom, I want to go, see WrestleMania. I want to see Brawl Fall. Please. And I'm begging and playing, and it doesn't happen. Because that's really where your big markets are. This is too fresh of a concept to get the merchandise. I'm not going to buy an AEW shirt. I already told you I'm not going to pay $60 for you unless I have 6 friends who like wrestling. That's very uncommon. That's what I'm talking about with you guys. Shipping $10 a pop. Look, I'm a grown-ass man. I'm an attorney. I make money. I'm not paying $60 for a pay-per-view, especially when I know the digital concept. I can get those matches hours later on YouTube. It's copyright be damned.
Yeah.
So you gotta kind of get the mainstream guy. It's tough because you really can't unless you do something of getting them to be compelled. And how they can do that, and I think how they should do it, is they had the first hour of the pay-per-view that just happened live on their YouTube channel. Maybe that's how you can get people, no pun intended, to those who watch the wrestling pay-per-view to be all in on them. Because if not, it's just going to be changing channels, and there's a lot of no-name guys there. I know the names because I follow wrestling, and I don't just follow WWE. I like wrestling as a product itself. I like New Japan Wrestling. I like Ring of Honor, Chikara, some of the other indie stuff. I'll give them a plug. Their contract is they got some wrestlers with OWE, with the Oriental Wrestling entertainment or whatever. So they have some stuff, but they're going to be a lot of brand borrowing, because what they're really going to try to do is get the guys who like the New Japan Professional Wrestling, who like the Ring of Honor stuff, who like Guerrilla Warfare Wrestling or Guerrilla Pro Wrestling, those guys who like the indie wrestlings to watch their equivalent mainstream. But how is that going to mobilize the market? And that's up for them to find out, because if they want my opinion, they got to pay me the big bucks.
Yeah.
Well, to that point, I actually, in a way, I think that is a smart idea to get the opinion of the lay people, if it were, because I know you keep ragging on Vince McMahon, and I've heard other videos talking about it too on YouTube, that he doesn't listen to anybody but himself. And
He does not.
What's that?
So
He does not.
So I think if you're getting the general populace's,
and that actually goes towards go ahead. So finish your thought.
it would make it seem like, and if they actually listen to and implement some of the ideas. I mean, obviously, some ideas are going to be so out there that it either wouldn't be financially feasible, it's stupid, whatever. But if you like uniform designs in sports,
Right.
if they, or like those, you choose the name of the team, it makes the fan base feel engaged and feel like they're actually listening to us,
Right.
that we have a stake in this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if they were to do what you were suggesting, Charles, maybe not with the big bucks, but
It's kind of,
listening to the people, that might get them some good graces of the general population.
and
To a degree.
to a degree, but like it kind of goes towards this new age of look, live streaming, what we're doing, and basically, let's say what's going on YouTube, what's going on Twitch. Okay, people are watching what they want, gamers, that type of thing, and there's this interactivity there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, you can sit here and listen to a live stream, and you know what? We will talk wrestling, whatever. We almost had somebody come in who wanted to talk about NASCAR, and we would have talked about NASCAR and indie racing and all that stuff because
He had a meeting to go to.
But
unfortunately.
regardless, we would have done it
Yeah.
because it's something we'd love to learn about. I mean, this is Sports Goofs, so we will include all sports. Okay, if I want to talk about curling one day, we're going to talk about curling. Yeah. And actually, we might want to go down that rabbit hole.
I would love to talk about curling.
Okay, it's the second most popular sport in Canada.
I know people give it a bad rap, but if you actually understand what is going on, it is so fun to watch and so exciting.
So maybe to the AEW can implement something like this, some sort of fan interactivity, some sort of, I don't know, or some sort of, or at least, like, you could have this, like, let's say the whole TNT thing. Let's say maybe they can have a dedicated YouTube channel where or they have their live stream of their matches. Have Curiosity Stream and Audible.com sponsor them or whatever, and just pay the bills for the at the very least, and have people like engage and talk, and they'll have these guys, these social media interns, whatever, viewing the comments, viewing what people are saying, viewing people's reactions, and using that data, using those impressions. Okay, we can use this for our future storyline, that type of thing. Or maybe somebody posted an idea that sounds really cool,
The one thing I will this is why I say temper expectations a little bit. Yeah, well, here's the thing, and we talk about it on the inverse of Vince McMahon is a megalomaniac, and to a degree he is, but wrestling to the day, it's not fake, remember, it's scripted.
Right.
So if you give everybody what they want, how are you going to know that you got gold in front of you at all times? Because you want to know who was not supposed to be gold? Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Right.
He was known as the ringmaster.
Well,
what happened was
I'm not saying you just listen to what everybody says, because sometimes you can't just give people what they want, because sometimes it's like Nintendo's philosophy with their consoles, okay?
What?
Like, you don't give...
What?
What happened?
Hopefully Charles understands what I'm talking about.
I got it.
Okay. So, like,
it's a wrestling thing.
Oh, it's a wrestling. Well, it's not like you like Nintendo, okay, give people what they didn't think they wanted,
Yeah, but the thing is, wrestling is sometimes that shock and awe, even with storyline that you don't want. So, and I won't go years of history on it, but it comes down, if you make everything by the books, you're never... Wrestling's about a connection, almost like regular sports, it's a connection. So you have those feel-good moments, the moments of hatred, and you're supposed to have stupid moments, because when we sit back and we remember how bad it was, if we see the quality of the product is good, now we're like, a lot of these guys from the movement of AEW was the guys who were sperm and said, you know what, wrestling fans deserve better, let me show you what we got. That's why it's important for them to survive. Think about being competitive 5 to 10 years from now, because here's the difference. WCW Monday Night Wars with them, they weren't fresh. They were the NWA. They had been, and then became World Championship Wrestling. They have been in existence for almost 30 years. They built the foundation. You might not reap the benefits now. Yeah, they got Vince probably panicking because he's 80, senile, and crazy, and he's obsessive. But at the end of the day, he's still top boss, because he doesn't have just one, but he has 2 shows on the mainstream broadcast, billions of dollars dedicated from the Fox deal. And you know what? Guys like me who'll pay $10 a month to go watch old content and new content instead of paying $6. And I have a couple wrestling shirts that I wear at the gym, so there we go, because I'm a catchphrase guy.
Okay. Alrighty. So, I guess that's it, guys.
I guess so.
Yeah, the Marlins are actually winning. Dear Lord.
So are the Rays.
Hell froze over.
Yeah, the Yankees are catching up. It's 5-4 now. So, yeah, well, the Marlins are ruining their tank. Dear Lord.
They had a glorious winning streak going. Then the Nationals decided to mess it all up.
We got one game in the 4-game series, so and ironically enough, against Max Scherzer.
Your name calls him the heterochromatic warrior or something. Heterochromatic,
like
since heterochromia, for anyone that doesn't know, means you have 2 different eye colors.
Right, which is one of his outstanding traits, other than being really good at pitching.
Right.
All right, guys. So, thank you for joining us today. Pretty improvisational thing, but I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think we should do these more often.
Well, now that baseball season's and we're at the finals for the Stanley Cup and NBA, we're gonna have to, because people are pulling. That's the thing I hate about the sports shows. People are pulling topics out of their butts, and I actually posted that on our Facebook group about what Kyle Kuzma was saying. He tweeted out something like these guys are just pulling topics out of their butts and all that stuff, like ESPN. And I kind of I don't know if I replied to him with our account, but he should know that ESPN is garbage. Okay, I personally avoid ESPN as much as possible unless they are the only network that is showing what I want to see.
Right.
Okay, if that's the case, then I'll have to watch them.
College Cornhole Championships exclusively on ESPN.
Oh well then. Okay. or the college hockey final.
Yeah.
It's on the Frozen Four. It's on ESPN. It's the one hockey thing they actually do. But
Well, they did the World Cup of Hockey a couple of years ago.
yeah, but the World Cup of Hockey is dead now, so
Right.
we're not going to
ESPN 8,
anymore.
the Ocho.
Exactly. And ESPN is garbage, and I think a lot of athletes need to start realizing that, and maybe they should ignore them every once in a while. Maybe they should, give them the cold shoulder when they call for an interview or whatever. But of course, a lot of athletes want their brand, and so they're going to get out to the mainstream masses who will watch ESPN because they're sheep and they eat garbage.
It's unfortunate. I mean,
Okay.
I'll wrap it up quick. But
Yeah.
if anyone wants more on this topic, Urinating Tree made a video about the downfall of ESPN.
The LOL cow.
And they let Bucci call the Frozen Four, which annoys a lot of college puck fans, myself included. I
Yeah.
swear, I am so angry that they don't get Gary Thorne. He is my favorite sports announcer.
Wasn't it usually Steve Levy as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Steve Levy is better than Bucci.
Well, I'm sure Steve Levy wished ESPN covered hockey again.
All of them do.
Yeah.
That crew, Buccigross, Levy,
John Saunders.
John Saunders.
He died, right?
He died, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Mr. Mullet himself.
Barry Melrose.
Barry Melrose.
Well, he's like the one. No, Barry Melrose is ESPN's token hockey guy.
Yeah.
Whenever they have to talk about something regarding hockey, they trot out Barry Melrose out there.
And his magical mullet.
Exactly. Which is the one thing he's known for. And the one thing that, I don't know if his mullet carried the LA Kings to the Stanley Cup final. But
It
I think it was
certainly
mostly
didn't
Gretzky and Robitaille and those guys. But
It couldn't hurt. It couldn't hurt. Couldn't hurt.
Wow, that's an aside. All right, guys. So we'll trash ESPN next week. Actually, I'll be on vacation. So we'll have to figure out how we'll do that. But,
Well, we can work on that together, but
Yeah.
remember, I have all the setup and stuff on my
Exactly.
computer.
yeah, so I don't have to be here.
Right.
Right.
Are you going next week?
I am going starting Friday. I am on my way to Tampa, and I'll be supposedly seeing 3 ballparks.
Nice.
Hopefully.
All
All right.
right. Good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Take care.